Hindu?
I'm not. I'm actually going to hop on the bus with the team. We're going to go to dinner here in about an hour and enjoy the dry weather while it's still here.
Okay. So that has been the story, right? The weather has been the story for the Coral Gables Regional. How much optimism is there that Ole Miss is actually going to play baseball tomorrow, even with the adjusted schedule?
Yeah, I don't see it, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope we get back on schedule, or at least everyone gets the first game in tomorrow. But I've continuously updated my weather app, and it's pretty much still saying 85 to 95%, pretty much the whole day, starting about 7:00 in the morning. So, they made that decision to move the games up, but I'll be shocked if we see the field tomorrow.
All right, so the forecast looks bad, and the fact that you can't play on the rain is one thing, but what about that field? I've heard people say that it doesn't drain particularly well, and maybe that's as much a function of anything as you don't deal with a ton of heavy rain issues during the spring in Miami. I mean, they get thunderstorms that come and go, but if they get in South Florida 4, 5, 6, 7 inches of rain over the course of 48 hours, what's that going to do to the playing surface?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Now, I will say we did practice today. All 4 teams practiced today, had about an hour and a half workout, and ours was at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And Miami got a lot of rain last night. In fact, our plane in, we had to circle over the ocean for 2 extra hours before we could even land because of the thunderstorms in Miami. And so they had some heavy rainfall last night, and the field was fine today when we went. So hopefully that will not be an issue, and we'll just have to play it by ear, but they are calling from, anywhere you read 3 to 5 inches possibly. So, we'll see with the tropical storm. We'll see how it plays out. But, it's going to be the same for all 4 teams. So you just kind of when your number's called, you got to be ready to go.
You've been on a bunch of flights through the years. Was it disconcerting to just be circling over the ocean for that long?
On the plane we were on, you have a little monitor in front of you, and you can click the button flight tracker. And we just we would get right close to the land, and then it would just turn right back around and go right back over the ocean. And the guy would come on the intercom, the pilot, and say, all right, well, we should know something about 15 or 20 minutes on getting back into Miami. And he'd come back on, and he'd say, well, it's going to be another 30 minutes. And it just kept going on. But to say the least, 2 hours later, when he said we were cleared to land, there was an ovation for the pilot that we were finally going to land in Miami. But Arizona had the same issue. They chartered from Tucson straight into Miami, couldn't land because of the same thunderstorm, circled for a while, had to land in Fort Myers and bus over because they were going to run out of fuel. So, it's been a challenge for all the teams. So obviously that's not an excuse, but it was a long day yesterday, and that's why you come 2 days earlier to get it out of your system and get a practice in on the day before and get ready to go for the tournament.
All right, so a little bit of an opportunity for a reset for Ole Miss. They have that stretch where they play so well against Missouri, Southern Miss, and LSU. They lose 2 out of 3 to Texas A&M in the final weekend of the regular season, and then get bounced in one game in Hoover at the SEC tournament. What's the vibe around this team? What's the mood? Are they looking at this as kind of a new season and an opportunity to hit that reset button?
They are. It was a good vibe today at the workout. I even went to the press conference afterwards, and Tim Elko and Dylan DeLucia were talking with Coach B as well. And, I think that the reset was just simply getting the call on Monday. They got another opportunity to start the postseason, and, they were excited about that, and they were asked a lot of questions about revenge and rematch against Arizona. And, they answered it correctly. Hey, this is another opportunity. It doesn't have really anything to do with Arizona or Miami. It's just a chance for us to hopefully play well and further the postseason.
Let's talk about the field just for a second, Brad. So Miami obviously is the number 1 seed, and they're a national seed, a top 8. And then you got Arizona as the 2, Ole Miss as the 3, and Canisius as the 4. We don't necessarily have to focus on Canisius other than you're an Ole Miss fan, you'd love to see an upset and Miami get a loss early. But an Arizona team that in a lot of ways Ole Miss is familiar, right? Played them in the Super Regional, but it's an Arizona team that looks a lot different than the team that Ole Miss faced a year ago. As you've looked at this Arizona team and kind of gotten ready for the regional, what stands out for you?
Well, you're right. I mean, obviously Jay Johnson left for LSU and took arguably his best player in Jacob Berry and one of his best relievers. There's still a few familiar names. As I've been reading over, I know Daniel Susac was named All-American. He's leading them in hitting. They've got three guys that can really hit for power. They're hitting 288 as a team. I think the thing that stands out is that they will strike out a lot. But it's going to be to be honest, it's going to be a similar team to who we saw last year, minus a couple really good hitters, which probably means I don't want to take anything away from them this year. They're 37 and 23, but I don't think they're as good as they were last year. Now, obviously, anybody can get hot, but we're going to see a guy in Garrett Irvin who we faced last year in Game 2, and we hit him extremely well. So it's a familiar left-handed arm on the mound that we've seen before. He's not an overpowering guy. His numbers are good. But I think that helps as well, having some familiarity with the same guy. But yeah, it'll be a well-coached team. They went 16 and 14 in their league this year. So, the numbers, nothing really stands out. I just think they're going to be solid, and I think it's two really similar teams. And I really do think it's going to just simply come down to who plays better baseball when we do get that opportunity.
Brad, you and I have talked about this with each other. I don't know if we've talked about it on the air. You look at this Ole Miss team, and normally when you think of a good hitting team, you think of a team that handles the fastball, and they are looking for fastballs. They're looking for fastball counts and then taking advantage. And Ole Miss has hit its share of fastballs throughout the course of the year. There's no question about that. But this team seems to be maybe a little bit better in handling the breaking ball than some teams, and handles the breaking ball maybe better than they do a fastball that's got really good life on it.
Yeah, I definitely think they do. Now, I haven't looked at the splits on it, but this team, to me, watching them as many games as I've seen them this year, we do hit the breaking ball better. I don't know why that is, but we've been a better breaking ball team, hitting team this year than we have in the past. And you're right, we haven't hit the fastball as well as we've hit the breaking ball. And reading over the scouting report on Irvin, he's a mixed guy. Most guys we see are 60 to 70% fastballs in certain counts, and this he's not. He's under 50% on fastballs, and obviously we'll know that. The hitters will know that going into this. But I think that favors us. I think they're throwing him because he started 15 games for him. Started on every weekend. His numbers are by far the best, and we're left-handed heavy as well. But I really like the matchup against Garrett Irvin if we stick to that plan, because we're going to see a lot of all speeds. The left-handers are going to see, sliders and curveballs, and right-handers are going to see those slow curveballs and changeups. So I hope the trend continues for us, because we've hit them well all season long.
All right, Brad, last thing for you. Ole Miss could have slept a whole lot better if they had gotten a win, period, certainly a couple of wins in Hoover at the SEC tournament. But knowing now what you know, that the Rebels got in, we're going to get in, is there a scenario where it works out in Ole Miss's favor, that they lost on Tuesday and have had some time to rest specifically for Dylan DeLucia, who's going to go in Game 1?
Well, certainly now, at this point, now that we're in, I think that obviously because we weren't going to be a 1 seed anyway. So it doesn't really matter on the 2-3 seed because you're going to play each other anyway. So, yes, I do think the extra 3 or 4 days rest, not only for Dylan, who's thrown a lot of innings the past month or two, but for a guy like Hunter Elliott and Mason Nichols, who, in high school probably only threw, 40 innings, 30 innings. And now, you're talking guys getting up 60, 70 innings as a high school guy. So by the end of the season, those guys tend to be running on fumes. And so I think the extra break certainly will help those guys as well as Dylan. But like I said, I had a chance to talk to Dylan today, and he was certainly ready to go.